Now let us look at how such a question may be asked. This was a question in the end of year paper in 2022. Take some time to look at the figure. The question says, Figure 2 shows an infographic on plans to enhance the quality of transport system in Singapore. So this refers to the Singapore transport plans for 2040. By 2040, these are the improvements that will be made to the transport system in terms of the quality. So with the data from figure 2, identify and describe 2 ways in which the quality of the transport system will be improved by 2040 in Singapore. You may pause this video to read through the guidance to how this question could be answered. I have actually placed the indicators, the 5 possible indicators, on the right side of the slide. So they are coverage, capacity, convenience, frequency, and environmental sustainability. So the question asks you to identify, which means that you state 2 of the indicators that are relevant to the data in figure 2. What are 2 of the data that are relevant to what you have learned about what is represented in figure 2? Do you think coverage is relevant? Is there anything in the figure that talks about the availability and the reach of the infrastructure by commuters and passengers? Is there anything in the figure that tells you about an improvement in terms of coverage by way of distance, by way of a new rail network, on a new train rail lines? Is there any indication that there's going to be an increase in the capacity that could actually be available, okay, for a higher number of people to use? Okay, so here, is there any indication that the capacity that the transport system could carry will improve, will increase? Okay, and next, in terms of convenience, is there anything here that points to an improvement in the ease of movement of the passengers, commuters, or any of the users of the transport system? Right, next one, is there any indication that the frequency of the occurrence of any of the transport services could actually increase due to this improvement in the transport system? Lastly, is there any indication about environmental sustainability that will be made possible by this improvement? Here's an example of how the Land Transport Authority has made efforts to improve environmental sustainability by reducing the noise pollution of the MRT tracks that are constructed along residential locations. Do have a read. Here is another example of efforts to improve convenience, which is the ease of movement of the passengers using the bus interchange. In figure 3, we can read about improvements at the new bus interchange at Jurong East. The highlighted paragraphs shows us how these improvements are to be done and how will they improve the ease of movement of passengers who are wheelchair users. Another example is how the facilities are built to cater to the needs of the elderly, the people who are less mobile, and families with young children. So have a read at this figure 3 and then look at the question on the right. You may pause this video to read the passage. In this next part of our study on components and characteristics of transport system, we are going to look at variety of transport modes. The way people and goods are moved depends on the variety of transport modes offered in cities. Urban cities generally offer a wider variety of transport modes as compared to rural areas. Urban cities offer a wide variety of transport modes such as transport modes that move through land, water, and sea, motorized modes like public transport, and non-motorized modes like walking and cycling. Customized routes that offer point-to-point services are also available. Increasingly, there are more shared mobility such as bike sharing and car sharing. For bike and car sharing, we can actually refer to them as more environmentally friendly and more land-conserving modes of transport. And finally, there is also an increasing trend of people having personal mobility devices. After this, we will watch a video that shows how the different transport modes have changed over the years in Singapore's development. As you watch the video, pay attention to how the quality of transport infrastructure like roads, highways, traffic crossings, public transport terminals have also changed to cater to the increasing traffic and transport needs in Singapore. As the population in Singapore increases, movement of people and goods to serve the population's needs have also increased. Such transport needs to move people and goods have to become more efficient over the years to ensure that the traffic moves smoothly and safely. What would it be like if our transport system remains unchanged from what it was in the 1970s? In the last video, we saw how the variety of transport modes have evolved in Singapore throughout the years. In recent years, due to an improvement in the quality of infrastructures such as park connectors, walking paths, ease of boarding on public transport, there has been an increase in personal mobility devices. An increasingly aging population has also necessitated the trend of the use of PMDs. As a personal mode of transportation, many individuals, such as people with limited access to public transport for short distance travel, or individuals who have limited mobility due to old age or illnesses, are able to enjoy ease of movement independently through the use of personal mobility devices. There has been much consideration about the safety issues of PMD users, which are being addressed by Land Transport Authority. They have designed and implemented various initiatives as well as the Active Mobility Act. Although this is not part of your Sec 2 syllabus, I think it will be worth your time to find out more about how PMDs have eased the movement of people with limited mobility, as well as to find out more about what the Active Mobility Act entails. As a way to apply what we have learned in both part 1 and 2 of these lesson recordings, we will now attempt to do this question 3 from your chapter 10 assignment. In this question, figure 2 shows Bedok Integrated Transport Hub. The question says, describe the spatial distribution of bicycle parking in relation to the Bedok Integrated Transport Hub, and explain how it supports environmental sustainability in transport management. Before we go ahead to write out our answer, there are a few questions that we should address. Firstly, what are the command words in the question? Secondly, what are the key terms in the question? Do you know what the key terms refer to? For example, what does it mean by spatial distribution? And how would you describe it in response to the map? What is an integrated transport hub? Do you know what it is? And what does it mean by environmental sustainability? Recall what we learned about the quality of transport system. One of the indicators is how environmentally sustainable the transport infrastructure is and how it encourages environmental sustainability. And lastly, what does it mean by transport management? Let's now take a closer look at the figure. What do you observe about figure 2? Do you see that in the center of the map, we can see the Bedok Integrated Transport Hub? And in the northern part of the Bedok Integrated Transport Hub, you can see the bus exit and the bus entrance. What does it mean? To the south of the Bedok Integrated Transport Hub, you see the Bedok MRT station. So what is the transport mode that is facilitated by the Bedok MRT station? You could see from these two locations highlighted in the map, okay, one serves the bus transfers, the bus services, I mean, and the other one serves the MRT services. And then we can see that there are some symbols on the map. What do these symbols symbolize? What do they tell us? Let's look at the legend, which is at the bottom right-hand corner of the figure. You can see the bicycle parking is actually shown by the symbol that shows the bicycles that are in white and black. And then you see the bus stops that are shown by the blue color and a vehicle looking symbol in the middle of the blue circle. So in the map itself, we can also see that there is a vehicle that is brown in color, and in the legend it tells us that it is referring to the taxi stand. So let's go back to look at the map. We can see therefore that there are bus stops outside of the Bedok Integrated Transport Hub for the bus services, in between the transport hub and the MRT station, as well as at the southwestern part of the Bedok Integrated Transport Hub. So there are altogether 3 bus stops that are serving this area, and we can also see the bicycle parking that is located at the MRT station. Okay, so that is the specific spatial distribution of things we can see from this map. All right, how about we zoom out a little bit for you to see, all right, where is Bedok Integrated Transport Hub? Okay, in relation to Bedok North Avenue 1, okay, which it's quite obvious that it is a major road, okay. From the width of the road itself, we can see that it is a major road. And there is a new Upper Changi Road, okay, that actually is in the middle, all right, is in between Bedok Integrated Transport Hub and Bedok MRT Station. So we can see that actually the Bedok Integrated Transport Hub, the MRT station, are actually located at places which potentially has actually higher traffic movement. Okay, and this modes of transport that we can see, mainly they are public transport. Okay, that the integrated transport hub will be serving the bus services, where the buses will be picking up passengers, and the buses will be parked, and where the buses will be maintained, and where the bus drivers will have a change of shift. And of course, the Bedok MRT station will be where the MRT will be moving, okay, and where people will be boarding the train transport, which these 2 places are what we have already learned, right? They are known as the nodes of transport, all right? And these nodes of transport are found, from what we have analyzed earlier, in places where there is high volume of traffic. Okay, so let's go back to the question. Describe the spatial distribution of bicycle parking in relation to Bedok Integrated Transport Hub, and explain how it supports environmental sustainability in transport management. Okay, so I think it is pretty simple, right, for you to do a brief description of the spatial distribution of the bicycle parking in relation to the Bedok Integrated Transport Hub. Please take note that the question specifically talks about Bedok Integrated Transport Hub. All right, so you will have to use the directional indicator, which you can see that I've circled in red, to describe, right, the direction, okay, of where the bicycle parking is, okay, with respect to the integrated transport hub, and how from its location, you have to explain how its location actually supports environmental sustainability, how by way of the transport planners, they locate the bicycle parking near to the Bedok Integrated Transport Hub. How does it support environmental sustainability? What is the motivation, okay, that they are actually giving to the transport service users, right? To encourage them to move on to a more environmentally sustainable mode of transport. Which in this case, I hope you know that bicycle use is a form of environmentally sustainable mode of transport. Okay, so after guiding you through this, I hope you'll take some time to write your answer out. Okay, although this is shown as a 2-mark question, okay, please do expand your answer using Peel for the explanation part of the question to fully and comprehensively answer the question. Okay, using the information that you have acquired over the past 2 parts of the lesson recording. All right, in the next slide, I would like to just give you some photographs to enable you to understand what does the integrated transport hub actually look like. Okay. What are integrated transport hubs? I'm sure most of you have been to one or many in the course of your commuting. Integrated Transport Hubs, ITH, are fully air-conditioned bus interchanges that are seamlessly linked to MRT stations and adjoining commercial developments such as shopping malls. With these ITHs, commuters can easily run errands and shop conveniently and comfortably before transferring to their connecting buses or trains. As of 2018, there are 9 integrated transport hubs, and they are Ang Mo Kio, Bedok, Boon Lay, Clementi, Joo Koon, Sengkang, Serangoon, Toa Payoh, and Bukit Panjang. The Yishun Integrated Transport Hub, which comprises an air-conditioned bus interchange, an underpass to Yishun MRT station, and access to the North Point City Shopping Mall, was opened on 8 September 2019. In this picture, we can see that within the integrated transportation hubs, there are clear direction signs for passengers to move around. From the bus interchange to the MRT stations, from the MRT stations to the exits, from the exits, to the exits to parking, or exits to bicycle parking, to drop-off points. And because they are all found within the same vicinity and housed within the same place, movement from one place to another is actually well linked, but the linkages have to be shown by clear direction signs so as to facilitate passenger movement. Okay, secondly, you see that there is also a common cashless payment system. What is meant by that is that when you use a common cashless payment card, like for example your EasyLink card, you can use it not just to use the bus services, you are also able to use it for your MRT services, and you can also use it to for other commercial use, for example. So they may not be all just for transport users, and this makes the use of public transport that is supported by this common cashless payment system very attractive and very convenient for commuters. Okay, so people do not need to worry about what card to use. Do they have that card? Do they have enough funds in this card and that card? Okay, in fact, I do understand that to encourage people to use this system, there are some discounts available if you actually hop on to the next transport within a certain limited time frame. So it actually encourages people to stay within the public transport network. Okay, so as to encourage a higher number of higher volume of human traffic using the public transport. Okay, and then the third thing that we see is that there is also a integration of the transport and commercial land use in this case, because within the MRT stations and sometimes even within the bus interchanges, you do see that they are served by retail outlets at the same place or at close proximity to each other. What it does is that it maximizes the land use and reduces transport needs to go for commercial purpose. For example, if you buy something on your way home while you are commuting, okay, it not just saves you time, it also saves you a trip just to go to a shopping mall that is far away from the transport hub. So in so doing, you will see that we are maximizing the land uses within Singapore. Okay, within that, within reasonable consideration, people who need to do their shopping, they can actually do it while they are commuting. Okay, but of course the bad side of it, the challenges is that during peak hours you find that the transport hubs are very busy, very crowded, not just because people are taking the transport. Some of them may be there to dine, to shop, to eat, and especially during the peak hours when the crowd are pulled together. Okay, so yeah. And lastly, we talk about the comfort and convenience that is accorded to transport users, public transport users, because these integrated transport hubs are fully air conditioned. Okay, and they are connected, of course, seamlessly to an MRT station. Okay, and this commercial developments within the MRT stations also do have a very wide variety of retail operators, retail services operators, where people can actually easily tap on to the commercial developments to fulfill their shopping and retail needs. Okay, quite easily, all within the same place and in a really comfortable and convenient manner. Okay, so I hope that this picture allows you to see things in the perspective, in greater perspective as well. Of course, when we always look at the advantages of having integrated transport hubs, we also need to consider what are some of the limitations, what are some of the challenges that are brought about because we are actually locating a lot of our places that has huge human traffic all around the same place. So does it mean that the roads that are actually serving this area, the roads that are in close proximity to this area needs to be widened? Okay, the capacity of the infrastructure, do they need to increase in terms of capacity as well, increase in terms of reliability by having more of the roadworks done and maintained on a more regular basis? Okay, so spend a few minutes thinking about this. All right, the advantages and some of the limitations.